Crystal, we have a bit of an Epstein bombshell, or should I say 74 different Epstein bombshells
that have come out so far.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to let you lay it all out in just a second, but before I get to that, it was interesting how we got all of these emails. So the Democrats, the House Oversight Democrats, released, I believe it was 3 different emails, which they had highlighted as like, these are big and newsworthy. They're specifically about Trump. It shows how connected he was to Epstein. So they released those. And then my understanding is Republicans took a look at that and they were like, okay, well, we're sort of pushed into a corner here, and Trump's pushed into a corner here. What do we do in response? And they decided, flood the zone. Release everything we got. So instead of releasing 3 emails, it's like 20,000 that they ended up releasing.
Yeah.
Thinking it would sort of like, there'd be too much. It'd be system overload. People can't really like pick out the things that are vital, that are important. Turns out that was wrong. People were able to pick out the thing. In fact, it became like from 3 bombshells, it was kicked up to like 20 different bombshell stories that came out as a direct result of it. They also wanted to push back against this notion that one of the victims, Virginia Jeffrey, that they say she didn't make any direct allegations against Trump, but she's the victim that's listed in one of the emails where Trump in 2011 was at Epstein's house with this victim for hours. And so that's released. Everybody goes, holy shit, Trump is like caught on videotape because Epstein had his whole house bugged, right? But then the Republicans released more to show, the unredacted emails to show, no, because that was Virginia Jeffrey and she never made any allegations against Trump, so it's not true.
She said that she never saw Trump do anything wrong. And so, but I mean, I appreciate that they released all of the emails because we've gotten so much more information. Release it all. Go for it. And I think that they were hoping that because there are other names, you got Larry Summers in here looking horrific. You got
New York Times reporter who was caught.
Oh my God, the New York Times
Epstein.
reporter. And that guy, this is interesting in and of itself. That guy had been fired from the Times for having an inappropriate relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Right. And he's in these emails basically like tipping Epstein off to potential investigations coming for him from within the New York Times. And the other crazy thing about that is, some of these emails are directly about Trump between Epstein and this New York Times reporter. And it's like, okay, these were on New York Times. This was like his work email. These emails are on New York Times servers. How come this was never reported out previously?
Crazy.
I mean, it is crazy. So,
but one more thing before you go on the Virginia piece, I think it's kind of crazy the interpretation that the Republicans are taking with this, because when I heard that, I thought for sure Trump is on videotape. For sure he was doing dirty things at Epstein's house because that's the only thing people do at Epstein's house. So all that, I think, guaranteed. And I just think Virginia was afraid to level allegations against Trump because Trump has a history of making threats to people who speak out against him. We saw it with Stormy Daniels. We saw it with Karen McDougal. We saw it with, and those were the ones he just had an affair with. Never mind the ones that he was like purchasing sex from the billionaire pedophile pimp, right?
I mean, just look at how they're behaving, right? You've got total White House freak out. They took Lauren Boebert. So there were 4 Republicans who signed on to this discharge petition, which now has the requisite number of signatures now that Adelita Grijalva has been sworn in. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. They knew they weren't going to be able to peel off Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So they went after Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert. Mace apparently just didn't answer her phone. Boebert, they brought into the White House, into the Situation Room, to put the full court press on her to try to get her to pull her name off of this discharge petition. I mean, total freak out from the White House about this. Does that seem to you like someone who is just innocent here and, wrong place, wrong time and has absolutely nothing to hide? Not to mention, we know the extraordinary perks that they're giving Galain Maxwell down at her Club Fed prison, where she's got a freaking puppy to play with, is able to bring in outside visitors with computer electronic communications all the time, can go to the exercise area when, after hours when others aren't allowed to, is getting special meals, and filling out her commutation application. What, you think he's doing that just like out of the goodness of his heart? He wants to make sure that Galain Maxwell, the convicted sex trafficker, is not done wrong while she's in prison? No, he doesn't want her to speak because she knows things that he doesn't want out there. I mean, and I really want people to sit with the fact, well, what are we talking about here? Job site is confirmed now without a doubt. Epstein was an Israeli intelligence asset. That's done. It's not speculative anymore. That's just proven fact at this point. So you have the president of the United States who believes that Epstein had whatever information he's terrified of coming out, and has to assume that that was shared with the Israelis. Has to assume that. So we're talking about the president of the United States being directly compromised by this.
Right.
And it's very difficult to look at the totality of what has been revealed and their behavior and come to any other conclusion about what's going on here.
And to be clear, what we're about to go through now are Epstein emails. This is not the same thing as the files.
Right.
The files are different. But this was still, there's a lot of bombshells in this. So walk everybody through it. I know you got like 58 emails.
Yeah, so there's a lot here. All right, so put B2 up on the screen here. This was a fascinating one with regard to Prince Andrew. And there's another side note here. Epstein texting with Steve Bannon, Trump World Insider, one of Trump's closest advisors.
They were close. They were literally close. Yeah.
This is in 2019, I believe like a month before Epstein ends up dead in a prison cell. And here he is, friendly texting with Steve Bannon. Bannon is saying to him, you know, so Epstein says, Prince Andrew and Trump today, too funny, because Prince Andrew and Trump had some meeting that day. Bannon says, and then they say, recall Prince Andrew, Accuser, came out of Mar-a-Lago, is what Epstein says. And then Bannon says, can't believe nobody is making you the connective tissue. You also have to assume with Bannon, the reason he's maintaining these friendly relations is to keep Epstein close to make sure he doesn't spill the tea on Trump. Because reportedly, Bannon had said previously that he thought that Epstein was the only one who could take Trump down.
Correct.
Going into 2016. So that's the first one. Let's put the next one up on the screen. This is about this, this girlfriend that apparently Epstein and Trump shared. So Epstein says, my 20-year-old girlfriend in 93 that after 2 years I gave to Donald. And this is an email with that Landon Thomas Jr. This is the New York Times reporter that he was emailing here with, who's kind of saying like, hey, you know, you got anything? Like, can't you put something out for the good of the nation to try to stop Trump? And then he floats that this is one of the things that he could put out. All right, let's put the next one here up on the screen. This one pertains to a lawsuit by Katie Johnson, who alleged that Trump,
13 years old.
That Trump
13.
and Epstein raped her when she was 13 years old. And Jeffrey Epstein's response to that is, well, I guess if there's anybody who can wave this away, it's Donald. Let me know if there's anything I can do. Next one. This is Epstein's opinion of Trump, and this was offered in 2018. So again, this is from the New York Times reporter. He says, Trump is scaring the shit out of me now. He could well tank the global economy. Can Tom Barack, who was a close friend of Trump,
and a billionaire,
talk sense to him anymore? Maybe it's time for you to jump in now, given how he is throwing caution to win in such epic fashion. Why wouldn't he take your call? Give it a shot. And Jeffrey Epstein says, he feels alone and is nuts. I told everyone from day one, evil beyond belief. Mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. It's obvious he could crack. Stormy Daniels, ? Lies after lies after lies.
So the pedophile billionaire who runs the human sex trafficking outlet is saying Trump is, quote, evil beyond belief. Just put that in perspective for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. That's
right.
When the billionaire pedophile sex trafficker believes you're the evil one. Like, yeah.
He's also said in the past, Trump is a man with no scruples. It's a direct quote. Trump is a man with no scruples.
Yeah.
From a pedophile, billionaire, human sex trafficker. And
there are a bunch of emails like this where, especially with this Landon Thomas Jr. New York Times reporter guy, where he's basically like, look, can't you, like, it's time to intervene here. Like, can't you put something out? And then Epstein will give him some little nugget or some little indication, or like this, where he talks about, you know, how evil he thinks Trump is. So and there's a number of other emails, too, where he talks about how evil he thinks Trump is.
So there's a drip, drip, drip of information from Jeffrey Epstein about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And then Epstein winds up dead while Trump is president. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those are the facts. I didn't even say anything extra. Those are the facts.
With his closest advisor, Steve Bannon, texting him apparently up till days before he's in prison.
And by the way, some of you might be thinking, well, that's what I always say this about Steve Bannon. I'm like, weird. He says these things that sound more economically populist, where he could criticize Trump and go directly at Trump. He never goes directly at Trump. He never calls out Trump directly. I wonder if that's because Steve Bannon knows what Trump is capable of. Because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein and texting with Jeffrey Epstein, and one day Jeffrey Epstein wound up dead after posting information that was made Trump look negative. I wonder if Sloppy Steve is scared. Right? These are serious questions now.
I mean, look at what's going on with Galain. Like I was saying, like we were getting the birthday book was leaked to the Wall Street Journal, probably from Galain. She would be one of the people who would have access to it. She compiled it. And then once she gets her move to Club Fed, which sex criminals are not supposed to be in this type of prison facility. They had to waive a rule
to get her there, yeah.
Yeah, so she's not even supposed to be there. And then one of the prison guards said that her treatment is so over-the-top concierge special that he's, quote, tired of being her bitch. So they are, giving her this incredible special treatment, all because he is afraid of whatever she could say, like clearly. And you have to think that whatever it would be extraordinary, because this man has gotten away with so much that we know about him. I mean, and think of how he normally operates. Like most of the time, a lot of times he'll just admit he doesn't even he doesn't show any sort of shame or remorse. So you have to believe this is something so dire that he thinks it's like worse than him shooting someone on Fifth Avenue, because he famously said that wouldn't cause him to lose any support. For him to behave in this, I mean, he's just behaving in the most guilty manner you could possibly imagine.
Good. Let's go to the next one.
Next one, B6. This is them talking about how Trump walked into a glass door looking at young women. So he says, this is, again, this Landon Thomas Jr. Now everyone coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump because of that famous quote where Trump said that Epstein likes girls on the younger side. And Epstein replies, read the Uz feed. I'm sure that's supposed to be BuzzFeed. Read my airplane logs and Hawaiian tropic contest. Have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight to the door. So that one, let's pull up this next one, which is notably from 2017. Okay, Trump supposedly cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and I believe it was 2003.
No, that's what he says.
Is what he claimed.
Right. That's nowhere near true.
And so now you have this 2017 email from one of the victims who says to Jeffrey Epstein, I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early to find Trump in your house. And then 2 smiley face emojis.
Now, I will say that could be a reference to a different Trump, like somebody else in the family.
Or it could be a joke.
Or it could be a joke because he was literally president at that time, right? Oh, wait. Yeah, he was president at that time.
2017, he was president.
So I read that, what the fuck is, what is this, right? Mm-hmm. Or is that could be a reference to, like, a joke, and the reference would be, remember when that used to happen? I came to your house early, and Trump was there, and I don't want that to happen again. You know what I'm saying? It could be a reference to something.
A callback that happened.
Yeah, remember when I came early and he did that shit to me? Like, remember? That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. That does make sense. All right, let's put the next one up on the screen. So here you have Michael Wolff saying, there's 2 separate ones here. We'll start with the top one because these are different time periods. So in 2019, this is Jeffrey Epstein emailing Michael Wolff, and he says that this victim was at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls. Of course, Trump knew about the girls, he's saying, as he asked Galain to stop. And then the one below that is for Michael Wolff, where they're strategizing about this. CNN was supposedly going to ask some Epstein question in the 2015 debates. They never did that, by the way. But in any case, Michael Wolff says to him, as they're trying to think about, like, well, what would be the ideal answer from Trump, which again indicates that they have some ability to communicate that to him. He says, I think you should let him hang himself. Interesting choice of words. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey's a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime.
So let me just point out, the one on top is 2019. The one at the bottom is 2015. And I want to say that the one on the bottom said from Michael Wolff, there was reporting that Trump had offered Jeffrey Epstein a spot in his administration in his first term. So that would coincide with exactly what Michael Wolff is saying there, that you have all this dirt, you can use it to extract stuff from him. And so again, there's reporting that Epstein said to his driver that Trump had offered him a spot in his administration. We don't know the specifics. We don't know if it was some ambassadorship or some shit like that, right? But there was some offer, and that would be Trump. The only reason he would do that is because he knows this guy knows where all the bodies are buried. This guy knows all my dirty secrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, let's put the next one up on the screen. So this had this was a CNBC write-up. One of the things that they revealed here is Trump, again, him saying of Trump,
Christ.
I know how dirty Donald is. But there was another piece in here that, if I can access this, where it says, in a text message chain with an unidentified person in December 2018, that person wrote to Epstein, it will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that. Epstein replied, yes, thanks. It's wild because I am the one able to take him down.
Now that's crazy. So he's saying I can take him down.
It's like I'm the one who actually can do it. Yeah.
And again, he wound up dead while Trump was president.
Mm-hmm. And Bannon, Trump advisor, texting Epstein up until the time he's literally in federal prison, had previously reportedly said that he thought Epstein was the person who could take out Trump more than anyone else. This is an interesting one. B10, who can put this up on the screen with regard to Hillary Clinton and Vince Foster. He says Hillary doing naughties with Vince. Long been a lot of theories about Vince Foster's death. So the allegation here that Hillary was in a...
And what year was this one? 2016?
This is 2016.
Okay, so this was when they were running, when she was running. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Next one up on the screen. This is to do with Peter Thiel. That was fun. See you in 3 weeks.
Okay, so this is Jeffrey Epstein sending an email to Peter Thiel saying, that was fun, see you in 3 weeks. When Peter Thiel was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he told Joe Rogan, oh, I only met with Epstein a couple times, and it was for tax advice. Is that what you say after you have a nice tax advice session? That was fun, see you in 3 weeks. By the way, Joe, I hope you feel fucking ashamed of yourself, you bitch. I hope you feel fucking ashamed of yourself. How many billionaire scumbags, fucking billionaire pedophile scumbags are you going to have on your show and give them a hot stone massage? I mean, it's sick. It's sick. What are we on, like 7 billionaires? He has Elon Musk on once a month to butter him up. It's a sick joke. The guy cuts pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels, and Rogan's got no fucking questions about that. Insane. Have Peter Thiel on. Looks like he just ate fucking blood from a baby in a different room and came in and did the podcast, and you got nothing tough to say to him? Disgusting. Keep going.
All right, next one about pics of Trump and bikini girls. Epstein says, would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?
Wow. 2015, that is too.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this was, again, one of those where it was like, I think he may have been emailing with the New York Times reporter here who was trying to like press him like, hey, can you put some stuff out? Next one, B13. So Epstein is writing to the Duke, that would be Prince Andrew. You okay? These stories are complete and utter fantasy. I don't know and have never met Al Gore. Clinton was never on the island.
Whoa.
The telephone book is not mine. It was stolen by my houseman that is currently in prison for doing so. So
Bro.
He's saying all this stuff about Trump, and then he's like, yeah, Clinton, he was never on the island.
That's so crazy, because everybody thought, myself included, like, oh, Clinton was actually really close with him. There's pictures and shit. Like, that's so crazy. It almost reminds me of, remember the guy who ended up going to prison for lying about Hunter Biden and Burisma? Trump just pardoned him, by the way.
Carter Page?
I don't remember his name, but this is a guy who Trump pardoned but it turned out like all the shit he said was false. It was just totally made up. All this like corruption vis-a-vis Hunter Biden. And I felt like an idiot because I was like, I had been spreading that. I thought that was real. And I almost feel similar to this. Like I was convinced Bill Clinton was just as guilty as Donald Trump in his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. Then you see that and you're like, Jesus, maybe not. But to be fair, that last thing he says, oh, that wasn't my book, that's not true. That definitely was his book. So it could just be lying about all of it. Like, Bill Clinton definitely could be on the lying. Because Epstein has a picture of Clinton in his fucking living room. That's Clinton in a dress pointing it at the camera, or I guess whoever's painting, right? So that could be all lies, but you can continue.
All right, next one is the well-regarded in D.C. Larry Summers, who's apparently, I mean, there are so many Larry Summers emails in here, and they are all uniformly just humiliating. Any case, he writes to Jeffrey Epstein, how is life among the lucrative and louche, which I had to look up. It means like depraved, but in like a charming way, I think, is sort of what it means. Anyway, Epstein writes back, anyone stand out, ? When we meet, I will endeavor to mesmerize you with stories of D.C. So wild. Oh, what stories of D.C.? Interesting.
Oh my God.
interesting. And that, again, that was 2017. So while Trump is in the White House,
Right, yep.
Epstein has mesmerizing stories of D.C., apparently. Another one here, just with regard, this is a little bit inside baseball, but it matters because Alex Acosta is the one who shepherded through that sweetheart deal for Epstein, ends up as Trump's labor secretary. And this is just an indication that Epstein was really keeping track of what was going on with Acosta. He asked, you know, who will represent him at the hearings, and this guy, Roy Black, says he'll be by himself, perhaps a Trump administration aide to assist and accompany him.
And remember, we know that Epstein knew the inner workings of Trump's first administration.
Right.
Because that's on literal audio tape when he's talking to Michael Wolff and he's saying, this person hates this person pisses off Trump. So how does he know all that? How does he know all that? Because he's embedded, right? And it's because he's intelligence.
Right.
You can keep going.
And then this is the last one I have. This is one Sagar flagged about just all of Epstein's sort of high-flying meetings. This is 2014. He had UN General Assembly meetings with Peter Thiel, Larry Summers, Bill Burns, who was CIA, Gordon Brown, British Prime Minister, Jagland, who was on the Nobel Committee, Mongolian leaders, UAE, Qatari leaders, Leon Black, and more. And then he says correspondences with then Obama's recently departed White House counsel.
So this guy was super connected. Super connected.
And this really comes out in the drop site report.
Correct.
Where he's like, I mean, truly in a way that I didn't actually even think was possible.
Yeah, it's more than I thought too.
Influencing world events, like some genuine sort of puppet master, like, you know, hooking up the Israelis with La Cote d'Ivoire and making these
Ivory
deals
Coast,
with,
right?
Yeah, making these deals with Mongolia and, you know, just really like playing the world like it's his chessboard. And, you know, that's what you really see is all the proximity to wealth, money, power, influence. And it comes out in these emails, the way he uses this information that everybody at least thinks that he has on them as potential leverage against them. So, yeah.
So he facilitated a deal to sell Israeli surveillance technology to the Ivory Coast. That's what DropSite reported on.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not working with the Israeli government, then how are you facilitating deals for the Israeli government?
An
It's
Israeli
absurd.
spy stayed at his Upper East Side mansion.
That's the next thing I was going to say.
Weeks and weeks.
For weeks on end. Also, he's very close with Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister.
Yeah.
He was caught wearing that, you know, IDF sweatshirt. He's Israeli intelligence. It really is that simple. Now, I have more. We don't have the emails for this one, but bear with me here because there's still plenty of stuff. First of all, I just want to reiterate. The email was from 2011. This one was from 2011. Quote, I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. So this is him saying in 2011, Trump spent hours with a victim at my house. Again, it was 2011. So this was, he wasn't running for president. So there's no like, oh, we're going to plot to take him down or tell a lie or anything like that. So Trump at Epstein's house with a victim for hours. I wonder what they were doing. You know, maybe they were sharing gardening tips. Who knows? But this, he's on video. That's what I take from this. He's on video. He's blackmailed. And if he's blackmailed, it's easy to coerce him, extort him. The Israeli government can get whatever they want from him. And oh, would you look at that? He gave them everything they want. He let them fucking steal the Golan Heights. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He's letting them finish the genocide in Gaza. He's letting them take over the West Bank. Like, it's all right in front of us. Like, it's all very clearly right in front of us. All right, another one. Responding to a 2017 message that Trump was so gross, Jeffrey Epstein said Trump was worse in real life and up close.
Hard to imagine.
Galain Maxwell also, I should point this out, she lied and said Trump never went to Epstein's house. When that 2011 email proved Trump went to Epstein's house. And people have been saying this about her for a while, that she's a notorious liar. And of course, she's saying whatever Trump wants to hear to try to get favorable treatment. And like you said, you weren't joking. They literally gave her a puppy. She has a puppy in prison.
Yeah.
She has a puppy. She can use the gym whenever she wants. It's already like a minimum security prison where they fucking do hot yoga and shit like that. But she gets even extra preferential treatment. There was also a meme that Epstein and his brother shared, and it was Trump's face smiling and sort of like with like a shit-eating grin kind of way. And it says, would you trust this man with your daughter?
Oh.
So Epstein was sharing that with his brother. That says a lot. Here's another email. This one is from 2017. Epstein, quote, I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body.
That tracks.
Now, there's this other email. Now, you interpreted this a little differently. I read over it a bunch of times. To me, I think it's saying what it's saying. But if anything, you could say, arguably, it's a different Trump that they're referring to. Because, again, this was while Trump was in the White House or
Yeah.
while it was his first term. But according to one email chain here from November, late November of 2017, there's an indication that Trump spent his first Thanksgiving after getting elected with Epstein.
It's just hard for me to believe. 'Cause
I agree with that.
You know, just because I don't know that the president can move without there being some
Correct. That's what I thought too.
record of it.
But
You know,
when you read the correspondence, and remember, they don't think anybody's ever going to read this from the outside. This is just them. It's like a casual back and forth, and somebody says, "Oh, who's there with you?" And he responds, "David Fitzel, Hansen, and Trump." That's what it says. And is it the infamous island? I don't know. All right, more. Epstein to Michael Wolff in a convo about Trump, quote, "I am meticulous about documentation and backup." So remember when Kash Patel and all these fucking liars came out and said, tapes, videos, bro? I don't even know what you're talking about. There's none of that stuff, bro. Here you have Jeffrey Epstein in his own words in 2018 saying, "I am meticulous about documentation and backup." That's a direct quote. Epstein wrote to his lawyers, quote, "Have on one of your cronies to ask to see the mortgage to Mar-a-Lago. Cash from Electricians Union. His driver, Matt, was the bag man. Later made an executive at the public company. And the $30 million loan from the casino to Donald Trump, backdated." So this is clearly Epstein knew a lot about the inner financial workings of Mar-a-Lago. And, people have pointed out, this sounds like it was some sort of bank fraud, some sort of mortgage fraud that went into Mar-a-Lago. And, you read that over a couple times, and every time you read it, it gets a little weirder and weirder. Like, how the fuck does he know this stuff? And what is he highlighting here? He's highlighting some sort of financial crime that Trump engaged in, which, by the way, is not surprising at all, because if you look at the Letitia James civil case against him in New York, he was found guilty for all insurance fraud, bank fraud, all sorts of stuff like that. All right, more. Larry Summers asked Jeffrey Epstein if Trump uses cocaine. This is one of my favorite emails.
Yeah.
So Larry Summers, that's all the email says. Like, does Trump use cocaine? And Epstein responds by not answering, and he says, "Can I get a private Harvard tour for a Rothschild?" It's just like, bro, the billionaire elite, pedophile club is real. It's real. This is it. We're looking at it.
QAnon was directionally correct. They were just wrong to put Trump. I mean, obviously the details were wrong. Trump being the hero was the biggest problem, though.
Correct. Yeah, they were right that there's a billionaire pedophile cabal.
Yeah.
But they're all Republicans. Well, I guess Larry Summers not, but it's MAGA. It's all the people who were pretending like they were against it.
Your hero is the most implicated.
Is the main character. He's the fucking main character. Epstein wrote on December 17, 2016 that he was in Palm Beach, quote, "with all Trump people." December 17th, 2016. So that's kind of crazy. That was probably Bannon was there. He was close with Bannon. Way closer than anybody realized with Steve Bannon. Sloppy Steve was very close with Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, he pretends like he's not.
And we know he has hours and hours of footage of interviews.
And he never released it. He never fucking released it. He never released it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you alluded to this. Bill Clinton, apparently, according to Epstein, wasn't on the island. Not sure if I believe that, but there's that. Epstein said in emails that he had been advising the Russian government on how to deal with Trump. One of several cases in which he wielded his connections to try to influence the course of foreign affairs. And this is a very strange back and forth. These emails are very, very bizarre. They took place in 2018, and they're talking about this guy Churkin, who was, I guess, a Russian ambassador. And he's going back and forth with how to deal with Trump. And this one, to me, was particularly interesting because it's like, yes, Epstein worked with the Israeli government. I've always said he's Mossad, but it's also possible he was sort of like a freelance mercenary type intelligence person, and he was working with whoever would pay him, and the Russian government was also paying him. That's what these emails seem to indicate to me.
Well, I think what it looks like is, his whole thing was gathering information and gathering relationships, because he also used those relationships to protect himself and to keep the cone of silence. Right. That was what came out in the bank records that were released in those emails. Was basically like these bankers would look, oh, well, Bill Gates still likes him, so it can't be that bad. And so, yeah, I think he was whoever he found to be convenient. He would provide them with information, counsel. He would do deals with them. And so between the money and the information, that's how he was able to protect himself for so long.
Here's what Epstein said in 2016 to the billionaire Tom Barrack, who's a close friend of Trump. Quote, "Send photos of you and child. Make me smile." And in March, by the way, Trump nominated this guy to serve as the U.S. ambassador to Turkey. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? Again, billionaire pedophile cabal. It's
And
actually real.
That Barrett guy comes up in a bunch of the emails.
That's right. I remember him speaking at one of the RNCs. I don't know if it was 2016 or 2020, but he spoke at one of the RNC events in favor of Trump. So, but Jesus Christ. There's another one, and this one is older, a little older. In 2013, January of 2013, you have Epstein going back and forth with Jean-Luc Brunel. And Jean-Luc Brunel, for those of you who don't know, confirmed pedophile and confirmed human sex trafficker. In fact, you know, he's one of the ones, it was him, and then there's John Casablancas. There's like a bunch of them confirmed pedophiles and also had these, you know, teenage modeling agency. It was just a front for human sex trafficking.
Didn't he also end up dead in prison?
Yes. He also wound up dead in prison. Funny how that works. But in this, I'll read it for you guys, but just understand what you're about to hear here. This is how sex traffickers communicate. Like what you're about to hear. That's what this says. Ready? Save for 2012, but can I start to look for baby clothes? If the wish turns into reality, or would you stick with RL baby around the corner? Forgot that you are planning everything. I will send you a picture of the Burmese girl. Very pretty. She is the star singer in Myanmar. I will bring her to the U.S. Obama visits Myanmar, and Chan Chan comes to America. I think I have something new and fresh news to promote. It sounds like they're speaking in code.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
And then, by the way, Murtaza Hussein, same thing. Shows these emails that looks like they're speaking in code, and this is relative to the Israeli military intelligence officer who lived at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Manhattan. He has some back and forth between Ehud Barak and one of them, and it sounds like they're speaking in code there as well, which would make sense. Again, that's intelligence. So human sex trafficking, intelligence, like literally all tied together. This stuff is so crazy. And then Trump was asked about this when I think they did like the signing ceremony for the bill to reopen the government. He was asked about this. Nothing. You know, usually he's there to fucking spin a story, and he'll fucking fight. Nothing. And that goes to show you, like you said, they were literally in the situation room. They called an emergency meeting. Yeah. Like they know. And then, you know, you look out there and you see, you got Nick Fuentes out there being like, MAGA's dead now. MAGA's dead. I see a whole bunch of them coping and seething on the timeline. Yeah. Very few were even bothering to try to put up a whimper of a fight.
Think about like Libs of TikTok, who was there with her binder and acted like she was some, you know.
Very quiet now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Weird.
Suddenly.
Weird. We got 20,000 Epstein emails and you got nothing to say about it. Funny how that works. Because your guy is fucking implicated.
Is all over these things.
Totally.
All over them.
And one more tweet for you. I want to read this from Dino Badalo because this one landed with me. One of the biggest takeaways from the Epstein file released today was that Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 and early 2019 was telling people that he had dirt on Trump, which could destroy Trump. That's a fact. We know that. That is very likely why the Trump DOJ charged Jeffrey Epstein in July 2019, and then he died.
The end.
So I don't know about you, but I'm more convinced than ever as to what went down here.
Me too.
You know, it is like pound the gavel. It is again.
Well, and think about too. Oh, the cameras happen to be out, and then Pam Bondi comes in. She says, "Oh, I have the Epstein files on my desk. We're gonna, I'm going through them. We're gonna release them." And then what is it? Like a month and a half later, she's like, "Oh, nothing to see here. Case closed." And he definitely did kill himself. And here's some video, which by the way ends up being doctored. To prove it.
So yet again, and we'll end on this note, but the most hardcore resistance liberal Trump derangement syndrome person you ever met in fucking 2017, 2018, they were fucking right.
To be honest with you, though, they weren't really focused on this one.
You think so?
No, they were all Russiagate at that time. It was really the left that, to the extent that there was focus from the left that on Epstein, it was coming from lefties, not so much the libs. The libs are all about it now. But let's give our own camp some credit here because they, you know, there were a lot of it was right-wing coded because it was all about Clinton. And so a lot of the Epstein interest was like right-wing coded. And so they stayed away from it until relatively recently.
Yeah, I guess other than like I had quite a bit of interest in this, but I just feel like I didn't see many other lefties.
I mean, I was covering it.
Yeah,
you saw me covering it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, I didn't give a shit if Bill Clinton was implicated. Like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But anyway, he should resign. He's been blackmailed. He's compromised. And he's the most powerful man in the world. So there you have it.